Okay. Always when you come on these social media sites, they have one game or the other to increase our revenue. But you're looking at it going, okay, instead of me focusing on my class, I'm here playing revenue games. Oh boy. Oh well, it is what it is. Hello everybody, Dr. Tochi here. On a Friday evening in my neck of the woods. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the shadow mother egregor, and we're also going to talk about humiliation rituals. Okay. I made a short video clip earlier saying that if I had the energy and time today, Friday, that I would do a class on humiliation rituals. If not, it'll be Sunday. And I'm looking at it, I have like a really busy weekend. Some of you might remember that we are in the middle of the spiritual fast and cleanse. So I facilitate that every day for 10 days. So I'm looking at it, and we're going to have our wealth creation presentation tomorrow for members. So it's really a loaded schedule for me this weekend. And that's a reminder, if you are a member, be sure to get the Google Meet link for tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. AST. Yes, what is AST? CST. My goodness. I'm trying to multitask here. Good evening from Jamaica. From the yard. What's going on? Howdy yard. Yard, folks. So get your drink, get your snack, get your notebook, get your pen, and remember to give the live stream itself a thumbs up. That lets the algorithm know to notify more people that class has started. It's going to be an interesting class because we hear that term humiliation ritual being bandied around a lot, and people just think it has something to do with celebrities becoming rich. Okay, you're on vacation? All right. For those of you on YouTube, I'm going to just quickly switch my Wi-Fi router, so you will experience an interruption, but it's going to come back. I'm just switching to be using two different routers, one for TikTok and one for YouTube. Okay. So get your drink and your snack, your notebook and your pen. You were so lucky to be vacationing in Jamaica. Fresh foods, natural, all natural stuff, while the rest of us eat chemicals. I guess our bodies are now used to the chemicals. What can I say? Hello, Mary Maraba. Please give the video a thumbs up. That encourages me to put out more material like this. And I'm live on both TikTok and YouTube. Okay. So that, some people find it easier and better for them to key in through TikTok, and some other people through YouTube. Okay. So we're going to talk about humiliation rituals. Oh, hi. You're welcome. You're welcome, Em. You're welcome. You're welcome. We're all in this together. We're all in this together. Okay. We need to understand and have a strategy for breaking free of these structures. Okay, because an egregor is a structure. Please feel free to share the class and share the video. I'd appreciate it if you do so. I have to remember to say these things because, once class starts, I'm not uh, like out there going, oh yeah, tap, 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 and or do this or do this or do this. So I try to remember to do it up front and say, hey, please remember to tap. Hey, remember to do the thumbs up. Hey, remember to do this and that. Okay. Remember that my website is tochi.us or drtochi.com. So if you'd like to book me for your divinations, your spiritual consultations, your dream interpretation, spiritual practice coaching, and more, you can get me there. I also have a store there. I have books and courses, stuff to help you with your spiritual life and your spiritual journey. Okay. And remember that this is a safe space. We're not here to judge people's beliefs. We're not here to tell people what to believe in or who to believe in. What we're here to do is to develop practical spirituality, the kind of spirituality that enables us to solve our problems. Okay. All right. So I hope folks are having a great weekend. Some people who are watching, I know, are already in Saturday in their neck of the woods. Some of us are still trying to get through Friday night. Yeah, some people are Saturday now. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to jump into the class right now. And I have my tea here. My tea is peppermint with orange spice. Peppermint with orange spice. Before I get into this topic of humiliation rituals, what they are, how to recognize them, how to extricate yourself from them. Okay. Remember, we're anchoring this in the topic of egregores, and it is in the process of deconstructing what egregores are and how they work. That is how we will understand what humiliation rituals are. Some of us have participated in humiliation rituals willingly, and some of us have participated unwillingly. Some of us have participated knowingly, and some have participated unknowingly. But either way, if you choose to participate in a humiliation ritual, it's not it's not going to work out for you. I'm just going to tell you that up front. We're going to go through, the deets and whatnot, but just if jumping to the end of the class, if you are like, yes, let me participate in this thing so that I will be loved, so that I will be accepted, so that my target audience is going to change in my favor, it won't. Humiliation rituals never end well. Okay. Because their primary purpose is to control. That's a primary purpose of a humiliation ritual. Okay. So remember, a couple of days ago we talked about the shadow mother egregore, and this is a thing that a lot of mothers who do not love their children are tapped into. If you're on YouTube, please give me a thumbs up. Give the live stream a thumbs up. That lets the algorithm notify people that class has started. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Be nice to Dr. Tochi. Be nice to Papa Dr. Tochi. Okay. So, and if you're on TikTok, please feel free to give me some taps. Tapping is clapping, as they say. So remember we talked about the shadow mother egregore, and thank you, M, and I gave personal examples. If you have not watched that class, it is posted on YouTube. 2 hours. It's a 2 hour class where I shared my own personal experiences, plural. Thank you, Yendi. Yes, Yendi. Okay. Hello, Kiara. I shared my personal experiences with an unloving mother. I want you to understand that if your mother doesn't love you, there is nothing you can do that will make her to love you. You need to form a new identity and move on. It's hard to accept because there's a part of us that keeps on working hard saying, if I only do this one thing, she will love me. If I do this one thing, she will accept me. And if this unloving mother happens to be the demanding sort of mother, she will be making demands and demands and more demands, and you'll be meeting all those demands, but she will withhold that love from you because she knows that that love is what you need the most, and that love is what is making you do everything. I mean, that need for the love is what is making you do everything she's telling you to do. So she knows that if she begins to love you, she will lose control over you. Thank you, Nolan. So this is the reason. Okay, welcome, Debbie's Properties. Welcome. So this is the reason why if your mother or even your father doesn't love you, there's nothing you will do that will make them love you. You can go sacrifice yourself on an altar, they still will not be satisfied. You can go crucify yourself, they will not be satisfied. Some of them, and many of them, will put you through humiliation rituals. You will participate in those rituals, but they still will not be satisfied. They will not give you that one thing that you're looking for, which is love. They will not give you love. They will not give you acceptance. They will not give you status. Once you can know this and understand this, you can start your healing process. Hello, Love 3. Once you can understand this, you can start your healing process. But many of us get stuck at, I cannot believe this. And that's what keeps many of us stuck. I cannot believe she will do this. I cannot believe she is doing this. And there's a part of us, a part of us, the moral part of us kicks in and says, a person in their right mind will not do this. A person with a conscience will not do this. But you're dealing with someone who's not thinking the way that you are, for whatever reason. And we're not here to judge why the mother is refusing to love. We already dealt with that last Wednesday. So you can go watch the Wednesday class when I delved into motivations of unloving mothers. There are so many reasons why a mother could be unloving. Okay. So remember what we said about an egregor and how an egregor is formed. If you've missed those classes are also posted. I also have mini clips about egregores on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. So you can go there. And I think I posted a couple of things on Patreon as well. So if you want to know what is an egregore, how are egregores formed, examples of egregores, you can go to those initial classes. I've done several classes. I've also done the Jesus egregore and how people are thinking that they're worshiping the same Jesus, but they come to realize they're not worshiping the same Jesus. So when it comes to the shadow mother egregor, the shadow mother egregor is formed from maternal denial, okay? From shame, from fear, from control, the control of the feminine, okay? The shadow mother egregor is formed in both patriarchal systems and matriarchal systems. Lit up tiny, tiny hot dog. Okay, well, thanks for the hot dogs. All right. So you can have a matriarchal system with a strong shadow mother egregor that is out there controlling all the women. Okay. And when a group of people, especially in a family, in a clan, in a kindred, in a community, decide that the women need to be controlled, they will form an egregor to enforce their decision. And this egregor will attach itself to that community. It will attach itself to the clan, the kindred, the family that built it. An egregor is not a spirit guide. People do not create spirit guides, but people create egregors. Okay. And so when a shadow mother egregor is created, its primary function is to control the women. And so that's why you can have a patriarchal system that says we need to control the women. You can have a matriarchal system that says we have to control the women. And there are different reasons why a community, a family, a clan might want to control women. There are different reasons, and we can go into that, okay? So this thing will incubate where women are repeatedly humiliated, disowned, punished, or taught that feminine power is shameful. That is how this thing gets big. So you have systems where women don't even know that they are feeding this egregor. They call it culture. Oh, it's our culture. It's our tradition. But they don't realize that it's an egregor that they're feeding. It's our culture to circumcise the women. It's our culture to bind the feet of women so that their feet are tiny. It's our culture to bind their necks, to deform their bodies into our notions of beauty. And even if they are unalived by these notions of beauty, that's okay. They are just women. Okay? Women, it is okay if women are treated as possessions. Women are property. It is okay if women are sexualized. for the male gaze. Women have to behave a certain way, look a certain way, be a certain way in order to satisfy the male gaze, the male sense of control. And people don't realize that this feeds the egregor. Thank you for the roses. Okay. This egregor also feeds on gossip, shaming, ritual disgrace, making women smaller than they actually are. It feeds on envy, comparison, and the withholding of love. So now you have women who, through the generations, have been told and been raised that you cannot show love to your daughters. And if the woman even has a slight feeling that she wants to love her daughter or even her son, other people in the family tell her, you are spoiling the child. You are training the child incorrectly. You cannot show weakness. You cannot show softness. That is what spoils a child. So the mother is forced to be something else than motherly. One of my friends who has passed on said something interesting to me. He said when they were growing up, they really disliked their mother because their mother was always punishing them. And one form of her punishment was pinching. And she had long nails. And I'm talking about before acrylic nails. Back in the day we didn't have acrylic nails. It was all natural nails. Okay. And so she always had long nails, well curated nails. And she would use those nails as instruments of torture on her children. But I found this interesting. He said that when they got older, they learned that it was their father who was making their mother pinch them and punish them and tell them hurtful things and cruel things. But when I got to meet the mother that he spoke of, I found a very selfish person. It's all about her. And whenever you hung around her, there was hardly a word of encouragement she would give. It was always, what are you going to give me? What are you going to do for me? What are you going to give me? Give me, give me, give me, give me, do for me, do for me, do for me, give 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 me. She would not ask you how you're doing. She would not, there was just nothing there. I mean, she would cook for you. She would smile at you. She would tell stories with you. But she would never praise you or approve of you or encourage you. It's always, what are you going to do for me? How are you going to care for me? What are you going to do for me? And also, there was a lot of gossip. Whenever you go around her, she would always be talking about who she fed, who she didn't feed, who was eating in her house, who was drinking in her house, and who wasn't giving her anything while they were eating and drinking in her home. That's a shadow mother egregor. Okay. Now, the shadow mother egregor can present in a number of ways. Okay. There's one form called the devouring mother. Okay. So this is the mother who will feed you both food and poison. And you're eating this, you know that she's poisoning your mind, she's poisoning your spirit, but you seem helpless to do anything because she's cooking a good meal and she's giving you a good meal and you're eating. Whenever you go to see her, there's a home cooked meal, a delicious meal. But while you're eating that meal, there's the poison of gossip and the poison of envy and the poison of comparison and the poison of ingratitude. So while you're eating that food, there's complaints. You didn't do this. You didn't do this for me. You didn't give me this. Look at what other people are doing. You see, this person did that for her mother, and you haven't done it for me. You're not doing enough for me. I thought you should do this for me, and you haven't done that for me. Why aren't you doing this for me? But she's giving you a hot meal. She will even give you a bed to sleep on, a warm bed. But as she's giving you these motherly things, she's also giving you poison. What's wrong with you? Why aren't you doing as well as other people? Why aren't you keeping up? Why aren't you exceeding what other people are doing? Okay. Now, there's a other appearance of the shadow mother egregor that we call the false matron. In charge, always prayerful, very religious, always talking about God or talking about, whoever the guru of her religion is. If she's in church, she's known as the mother of the church. If she's in the mosque, she's the mother of the mosque. People know her as the one who's always serving, preaching, preaching the word, quoting the Bible, quoting the Quran, quoting all quotables. But yet, she doesn't love, doesn't get emotionally involved with her children. She preserves the family. She's all about, the family does this, and she's doing all these errands, running errands for the family. She's busy doing this and doing this and doing that. And everybody's praising her. Oh, yeah, if there's a meal to be had, she makes sure that the meal is all set out and done and well cooked, you know. But she will never, ever tell you that she loves you. And when you try to corner her and tell her what's on your heart, she will not listen. She'll be busy. She's too busy. As you're trying to talk to her, her phone is ringing. The other thing is happening. There's a pot on the stove. She'll tell you, oh, can we talk about this some other time? She will never give you audience. Always blowing you off. That's a false matron. Everybody sees her as a saint. Everybody sees her as a wonderful mother. Everybody sees her as if there are meetings, she's always at the meeting. She's there on time. She's catering. She's taking care. She's feeding people. She's doing all these things. But she ignores her own children. And she ignores the needs of her own children. as a false matron, a false mother. You could be bleeding, and she would spend her time taking care of some other person's child, but not taking care of you. She'd be running around. She will rush someone else's kid to the hospital for emergency treatment, but she won't rush you to the hospital for emergency treatment. Then there's another kind we call the shadow bride. She's jealous of her daughter's youth, jealous of her daughter's beauty, jealous of her daughter's gifts. And she will turn around and weaponize relationships and matrimony and fertility to wound that daughter. So if the daughter is pretty and gifted, she will say, but you're not married. If the daughter goes and gets a PhD, she will say, but you're not married. That was my mother until one of her church members called me stupid. She heard the lady and corrected her. How would she correct her? She laid the foundation for that. You might have a thriving business, and she will say, yeah, you have a thriving business, but you're not married. Maybe you have a thriving business, you have a good job, a wonderful career, you're making 6 figures, 7 figures, you're married. She will say, but you don't have children. That's the shadow bride. There's always competition. Do they do this intentionally? We talked about this on Wednesday. So permit me to redirect you. What if they don't want you to get married? Yeah, that's a shadow bride. She doesn't want you to have a better husband than she did. Especially if she sees you have a good suitor, you have a good man coming your way. Then she will start highlighting your faults. Oh, she's too fat. She eats too much. She doesn't keep the house clean. She's lazy. Or she never had great grades in school. Tina Turner had that kind of mother. I don't know if you saw that. There are clips of videos of Tina Turner. Look it up. Look for Tina Turner interview. There was an interview she did where she was talking about her mother. There is nothing she did that will make her mother love her. She bought her mother houses, cars, jewelry, clothes, but her mother would never acknowledge, never ever acknowledge her talent. Her mother would say, if not for Ike Turner. And when Tina Turner and Ike Turner would get into it, and there was some DV going on, and Tina Turner would run away, her mother would call Ike Turner to tell Ike Turner where she was so that I could go there and retrieve her. Her mother, as a shadow bride, always in competition. That mother is looking at the child, the daughter especially, and this can happen with sons. So I know I'm kind of focusing on the daughters, but this can also happen with sons. The mother is looking at the child, is looking at this child and saying, you are prettier than me. And you have all these benefits and blessings coming your way that never came my way. Why should you have it when I never had it? Why? Why should you have it when I never had it? I believe, M, were you the one who shared about um, someone in school, the most popular person in high school, seeing you and seeing your mother and saying, "Oh, your mother is so light skinned and pretty"? Yes, I saw that comment today. And then her mother proceeds to laugh at her in front of everybody instead of shielding the daughter. So, from that statement, I'm assuming you're a dark skinned person like myself. Okay? That's a shadow bride. You may be young, you may be youthful, you might be energetic, but you're dark skinned. You might be young, you might be intelligent, you might have a good job, but you're overweight. And they will say this to you in front of everybody. They will say it to you in private and they will say it to you in public. And it's always one thing. Oh, and sometimes they will say it like a joke. You know, your teeth are crooked like hyena's teeth. Oh, she knows I'm joking. No, she's not. Oh, look at you with your knock knees, your cross eyes. You'd be so lucky if you get a if you ever get a husband to marry you with them knock knees. Oh, don't worry. God will provide someone for you. They meant it. And if you happen to find someone, male or female, interested in you with your knock knees, she would go out of her way to point it out to the person to say, "Have you seen her knock knees?" Because as long as she puts you down, she puts you in your place. If you have dreams of being attacked by your mother, that could very well be a sign of the shadow mother egregor at play. You might have dreams of a mother with a knife, a mouth full of knives. Instead of a mouth full of teeth, it's full of knives. Mother with fangs. Okay. A mother that's chasing you around and whipping you, harassing you in the dream. Okay. Some women even have dreams of their mothers offering them on altars like sacrifice. That's the shadow mother egregor at play. And again, I repeat, there is nothing you can do to make her love you. You might go and invite your pastor or an elder, and they will talk to her, and she will say, "Okay, I'm so sorry for the way I treated you. I'll be a good mother from now on." Once that person goes away, they're going to turn back and treat you twice as worse twice as worse as how they treated you before you invited someone to advocate for you. They will punish you for inviting someone to advocate for you. If you're in situations where you're being scapegoated by your mother, something goes wrong and she makes a scapegoat out of you, that's a shadow mother egregor at play. Ah, Cassius, Cuore, tuning in from my hometown, Montreal. Bonsoir. Okay. Making a scapegoat of you instead of defending you, protecting you, you're made a scapegoat. It happened to me. I can't tell you how many times my mother held me up to be ridiculed by others. Okay, TikTok folks, I'm going to switch on Wi-Fi here because it was telling me it was kind of unstable. So I'm going to. So if there's a little break on TikTok, just know I'm switching. Just switching to a different internet source there. It happened to me quite a bit. You know, Love 3 was saying that when someone in church called her stupid, her mother corrected the person. My mother wouldn't correct the person. She would say, "You're absolutely correct," and then she'll turn around to me and say, "You see, even other people know that you're stupid." That is a shadow mother egregor at play, feeding. Okay. When you have religious rites and religious events that publicly mark and shame women, and the mothers are actively supporting this, that's a shadow mother egregor happening. Okay. Now there are certain things that mothers might say or do that let you know that this shadow mother egregor is at play. Okay. Are you not ashamed of yourself? And you're just being yourself. Maybe you're just a kid. Are you not ashamed of yourself? Look at how ugly you are. Other children are better than you. And I'm so ashamed of you. I don't know how I ended up being your mother. I don't know why God gave me a child like you. And you haven't done anything wrong. I'm not talking about, wayward children, because, you might have some wayward or obstinate children, stubborn children that cause problems. That's not what I'm talking about. You're just being a child. You're not breaking any rules. You're not doing anything criminal. But the condemnation is never ending. Condemnation about how you look, how you behave, about your mind, your appearance never ends. Okay? You're always bringing shame to me. You're always bringing shame to the family. And maybe all you did was just ask a question. Okay? When a mother punishes the daughter for being pretty, and she's always attacking the daughter for being pretty, do you think you're the only pretty person here? Do you think you're the first person to be pretty? Do you think you are pretty? Do you know how ugly you are? You think you're pretty, but you're not pretty. I know other people are telling you that you're pretty, but your mother, will tell you the truth. You are not pretty. Anybody telling you that you're pretty is deceiving you. They're lying to you. You are not pretty. All right. That's a big one. Oh, don't you see so and so is prettier than you? So and so is more intelligent than you. So and so is taller than you. They're more light skinned than you. You are as black as your father. You look like your father. You're just as ugly as your father. When there's the laying on of hands, the beatings, the whippings, and the thrashings, and go watch the class on Wednesday when I described and talked about my personal um, experience, lived experience with that. And when the mother is so focused on scarring, demarking, or defacing the daughter's face, there's some mothers who are like that, even or their son. They focus a lot of their things on the face. They want to put marks on the face. They want they want to put scars on that face because they're jealous of that child's looks. I remember one time I had an auto accident, and the attorneys I was working with ordered, I believe it was a CT scan or MRI scan of my head. They wanted to see if there were any injuries because after I had that, it was from the rear. I got hit from the rear. I was out for a month, was swelling and everything. And when they did, they did all these functional tests and psychological tests and everything and whatnot. But anywho, I remember reading the report because after all those tests and everything, the attorney was like, I don't think we have a case here. Okay. And I got a copy of the lab report that they did on my brain. And the psychologist who tested me also got a copy of this report. And it was interesting to her. She said, you have so many lesions on your brain. And many of them are old. Do you know what lesions are? She said I had a lot of lesions on my brain. Do you know what lesions are? Anybody knows what lesions mean? You're correct. Thank you, Ubabdi. Injury. My brain was showing so many injuries, but the injuries were old injuries. It's like having wounds. My brain, the surface of my brain had so many wounds. And the psychologist who was interviewing me was like, this is very interesting considering that you're an engineer. an advanced one at that matter, because I had a graduate degree in engineering. And she said, "How did you get all these wounds on your brain? We could see all the wounding on your brain. They're scars. Your brain is scarred in multiple places." And I said to her, "Oh, I was beaten a lot as a child." And she, bless her heart, the woman was looking at me like, "You're not emotional about this." I said, "No, I already went through therapy. I'm good. I'm still here." Imagine, and I want you to understand the seriousness of this. I had this accident in my 30s. And so imagine that they did this brain scan and they're seeing old wounds on my brain when I was in my 30s. That will tell you the intensity of the DV that I experienced as a child. That the wounds on my brain still persisted into my adulthood. And I guess maybe if I got another brain scan now, it'll probably still be there. Probably covered with some fat now that I'm healthy. Now that I'm ample and plump, probably have some fat covering the thing. But a lot, when you think about where these injuries were focused, the attack and the beatings were focused on where she thought my power lay, in my intellect, in my mind. And we talked about this in the spiritual fasting and cleansing retreats that we're having right now. I said a lot of times people will attack what they perceive to be your greatest strength. If you're a great communicator, they will say to you, "Shut up. No one wants to hear you. No one wants to listen to you. No one wants to hear what you have to say." They will attack your communication skills. They will attack your communication abilities because that's where you're the strongest. If you're intelligent, you're sharp. I'm a very intelligent person. Okay. I may not be proud of some other parts of my body, but I am proud of my brain and my mind. I'm really good. Okay. And this is a certainty with me. People think it's arrogance. It's not arrogance, it's certainty. This is something I'm certain about. I excel. Anything that has to do with the mind, I excel. But that was one of the things that was attacked the most when I was a child. And so that's why I have so many injuries, lesions on my brain. Because the person wants to attack that thing they see to be your strength. If you're facially pretty, you might end up with a lot of scars on the face. If you have a banging body, end up with things happening to the body, broken bones and legs and things and stabbings and all kinds of injuries to the body. So the unloving mother does not have any hesitation attacking, disfiguring, defacing that thing that she determines to be your strength. If you are a loving personality, she will attack it. When I was growing up, I was a very loving person. I was always hugging and doing all that kind of things. And she kept beating me until I stopped doing that. She kept beating me until I stopped hugging people, because she knew that love was attractive. If you are a nurturer, there are some people who like to take care of others. You like taking care of other people, and you like making them comfortable, and you like catering to people and stuff. They will use you, and they will keep on using you and using your resources until you get frustrated. And so it's always give me, give me, give me, give me, and you'll keep on giving, and your giving will never be enough. No. And you see, your question still goes back to what I'm saying. I want to share with you guys on YouTube a question that someone asked on TikTok here. Has your late mother ever apologized, whether in astral or physical, when she was alive? And I said no. Why should she? I still stand on what I say. A person who doesn't love you, there's nothing you can do to make the person love you. You see, this question comes from a place of, well, maybe the person changed later on. Maybe they now recognize that what they did was wrong. You have to understand what we're saying. A person who doesn't love you does not care. So you looking for an apology, you waiting for an apology, you are waiting in vain. The person will never become who or what you want them to become. They don't love you. I mean, this is something, I know it's a difficult concept to get, but you need to be able to wrap your mind around it. Some people, when they come to me for divinations or spiritual counseling, they're like, yeah, I want them to acknowledge what they did to me. I want them to acknowledge that they treated me. And my question to the person is, what if the person never acknowledges it? What are you going to do? But what they did to me was wrong. What they did to me was evil. Okay. But what if they never say they are sorry? What are you going to do? Well, it's not right. The Bible said, or the Quran said, and the laws of morality. And the person keeps on going on and on and on and on. And they don't want to face the reality that that apology will never come. The apology will never come. And even when the apology comes, it is often insincere. The person doesn't mean it. The apology will not come. So if you are postponing your healing, postponing your moving forward because you must have that apology, you must have them admit guilt, you must have them do this, have them do that, you must have them change, you must have them acknowledge, you will suffer. Know this and know peace. Know this and know peace. That's why I'm addressing this question that you're asking. Did she ever apologize? Why should she? If I don't care for you, if I don't care about you, why should I apologize to you? Why? Why should I? What's in it for me? Why should I apologize to you? So we need to start stepping away from this thing that, oh, the person's got to apologize. If they don't apologize, then what? Then what? Okay, so the questions you're asking now are not relevant to the topic at hand. We're not here to talk about whether she hated me or didn't. What is the topic we're talking about? We're talking about mothers who don't love their children. That's what we're talking about last Wednesday, and that's what we're talking about this Friday. So we're not talking about how I felt, how they felt, and no. What we're talking about is this phenomenon of women who don't love their children. That's what we're talking about. And it's a reality. And we could spend a lot of time, oh, let's go into my feelings and let's go into her feelings, but it doesn't change the fact that this person doesn't love you. They may not even be capable of loving you. They may choose not to love you. I dealt with that last Wednesday. Okay. All right. A lot of children, especially daughters who are not loved by their mothers, will have nightmares about this. And sometimes, yeah, you're correct. The shadow mother egregor created lots of narcissistic women. You're right. Okay. Um, there are some children or women, when they go near their mother, they feel uncomfortable. They may feel chills. They might feel nausea. They might have ringing or tingling in their ears. They might feel like there is some other being around when they're around their mother. That lets you know that there's an egregor at play. Okay. Hello, Jax the Bantu. All right. Now, there are times that, remember when we talked about the egregor that was created by nuns, and we talked about Jesus egregors, especially the Jesus egregor of intimacy, the spousal Jesus egregor. Remember when we talked about that the people who worked with these egregors or who were influenced by these egregors would feel this egregor, like those nuns that will say, oh, I just was intimate with Jesus, I consummated my religious marriage with Jesus, and the head of their convent will say, oh, now you're truly married to Jesus. The same thing happens with the shadow mother egregor. There are some women, whenever they see their children, they feel like something begins to possess them. And then they start treating their children in dreadful ways. But whenever they're not around their children or specific children, they feel normal. But whenever they have a child that is an easy source of energy, some of them will feel like something is possessing them. They feel like they're being possessed. And that's the egregor. Because the egregor recognizes that that child is an easy source of energy for it to feed on. And it will use the mother to elicit the energy through emotion from that child. And that's when the mother will start attacking the child or beating the child or abusing the child, saying bad words to the child, deviating the child. And whenever the mother is doing this to the child, that egregor which has possessed her is feeding. Anytime it needs energy, it will possess the mother, and the mother will go after the children. And the child is so energy depleted. You will see the child always looking haggard. If you're into vampire stories, the child just looks like a victim of a vampire, looking haggard, bony, skinny, rashes, scars, sunken eyes, ribs. And when the child eats, they're eating voraciously. They're eating everything they can see. And yet, no amount of food that child eats shows on that child's body. The child is always hungry. Because it is a food source for this egregor. And in some family lineages, this egregor is like their generational curse. So it passes from mother to daughter to granddaughter to great granddaughter. It passes from women to women in their lineage. So it will feed on a child until that child marries and that child has his or her own children. Then it will now possess that child who is now a parent and start feeding on the children and the grandchildren. So it is like, it's almost like a spirit guide attached to the family lineage, but now this is an egregor that is attached to that family lineage. That's how it feeds. Now let's talk about the humiliation rituals. Humiliation rituals are a premium source of energy for these kinds of egregores. Humiliation rituals are a premium source of energy for these kinds of egregores. What's a humiliation ritual? A humiliation ritual is an event, okay, that is intended to break down the victim. It is intended to put the target in his or her place. Okay. Humiliation rituals can occur anywhere. They can occur in the office. There are some people who work in places where they routinely undergo humiliation rituals, even though they may not recognize that these are humiliation rituals. Their boss or their supervisor is constantly abusing them and degrading them and telling them horrible things, and always doing it in public. Most humiliation rituals occur in public. The power of a humiliation ritual is the power given by those who witness it. Humiliation rituals can be formal or informal. What there was a video I saw on TikTok, was it last year or the year before, of a humiliation ritual. A young girl, I think she was just out of high school, got pregnant. So I think she was 18, 19. She got pregnant and her boyfriend made her pregnant. And she had to come in front of her church. The pastor was there. And it's one of those black churches where it's only the men who sit in front. They sit on the stage, only men, and they call them the elders of the church, and all the men sit up front, and then the mothers of the church will sit in the front pews. And they made her come up there with her pregnancy and apologize to the whole church for shaming herself and shaming the church for having premarital sex, for getting pregnant. And she had to ask the church for forgiveness. And her mother was sitting up there. And they made her name the young man who made her pregnant. And the young man was not there, obviously, in the church. So she was doing this by herself. That's a humiliation ritual. Because the point of that is to put her in her place. The point of all of that, even though they said, oh, yeah, the rules of the church and blah, 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 and holiness and whatnot. No, the point was to put her in her place. The point was to remind her that she was nothing but a woman. And she was also serving as a living warning to other women why women were not allowed to sit on the stage of that church. Women are dirty, women are clean, women are unworthy, women are weak. And so other women watching, young and old, would look at that and they would obey the leader, the pastor of that church, and his men leaders, because they wouldn't want such a thing to happen to them. So it was to control them and keep them in line. So whatever I tell you to do, you will do it. And this happened in America, because somebody might say, well, maybe this was happening in some country in Africa or South America. No, this happened in America, in a black church in America. And a young man who saw that video went to that church and made a video recording where he was asking the pastor of the church, what was the point of humiliating this young girl? Instead of you supporting her, helping her, you brought her in front of the church, made a video, and posted this video on social media for everybody to see. What was the point? And the guy was asking the pastor, would you do this to your own daughter? And some pastors would do it to their daughters, but many of them won't. It's a humiliation ritual. It's a shaming rite. If I shame you, you will not contradict me in the future. You will do everything I tell you to do. You will obey me. When I ask you to jump, you will say, how high? Okay? In some places, they would beat the shame. They will say, no, you know what, we need to beat this woman and beat the shame out of her. And in some communities, the women will gather, even the men, and they would lay their hands. Let me share with you a humiliation ritual that I escaped. You need to understand that when you are invited to participate in a humiliation ritual, you have a right to say no. I do recognize that sometimes it's hard to say no, especially when the person is guilt tripping you or the person is using emotional blackmail. Okay. When people are saying to you, if not for me, you would not have this or you would not be this. I am the one that made you who you are. And if you acknowledge that, you must go through this thing I am telling you to do. And we're like, oh, okay. A lot of mothers will do that. I carried you for 9 months in my belly. Therefore, you must do this thing. You must subject yourself to this public humiliation. You must bow down before me in front of everybody. You must beg me in front of everybody. You must, you know, humiliate yourself. You must humble yourself before me. I am the one who brought you into this world. I am the one who fed you, still feeds you. I'm the one that put clothes on your back and roof over your head. That's a humiliation ritual. Let me share with you one that I refuse to participate in. Okay. When my mother passed, her sister came to me to ask for her gold jewelry. Came to the house and said, hey, can you bring me your mother's gold jewelry? I want to look through there. There's a piece of gold jewelry that belonged to our mother that she borrowed, and I want to get it. And I slammed the door in her face. So after my mother's funeral, my mother was buried on a Saturday. On Sunday morning, we were in her house. She was buried in her house according to the tradition. On Sunday morning, we woke up. I'm not even sure me and my siblings even had breakfast. We were told that there was a group of women, a council of women, sitting in my mother's living room, wanted to talk to us. And they wanted to talk to us because of the rules, the traditional rules we had broken. And so an older sibling was called forth, and I was on the side watching what was going on. And at the head of this group of women was that same aunt, her older sister. Okay. And these group of women in that culture were all considered the first daughters. And in their culture, the first daughters had a lot of authority and power and all kinds of things, which we won't get into here because That's a story for another day. And so we had this group of women, probably about 8, 9 of them, sitting in my mother's living room very comfortably. And I was standing by the side, observing what was going on. And they brought out a sibling, older sibling, and they said, "We want to tell you all the abominations you committed during your mother's funeral." And they started reading off these charges. This aunt started reading off these charges to him. You didn't sleep in the compound during the funeral. You didn't do this. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. Permit me to put this in context. When this was happening, I was 16 years old. My sibling, who was called to the floor, was 18, 19 years old. So keep that in mind. Teenagers. So they read the riot act and said he had to pay a fine, and you have to give us this and buy this and buy this and buy that. 19-year-old with no job, whose mother had been buried less than 24 hours ago. And so another aunt who's still living, she just turned 90 years old recently. She went and brought a small saucer, small flat plate with 2 cola nuts on it. And she shoved it into the hands of my sibling and said, "Go and kneel down before these women and beg them for forgiveness. Tell them to forgive you and tell them that you have nothing. You are nothing. You have nothing. You cannot afford to pay them what they're asking you to pay them. You have no way of placating them. You have no way. Go down on your knees and beg for their forgiveness." So the sibling took the saucer with the cola nuts on it and went down on his knees. "Oh, my mothers, blah, blah, blah." Started repeating the words that he was told to repeat. That was a humiliation ritual. Because basically what was happening is your mother is dead. Your father is not here, your mother is dead. We can do with you as we will, and we're going to put you in your place. You think you're all that. Even your mother didn't love you or protect you enough to put anything in place to protect you after she's gone. You are in our hands. We can do with you whatever we will. As a shadow mother egregor. And so these women sat there, and the other people were watching from the window as he went down on his knees, a teenager, and begged for forgiveness for irrelevancy. And that you want a 19-year-old to ask for your forgiveness for leaving his mother's home during her funeral. That this wasn't done, and this chore wasn't done, and the other chore wasn't done. And he had to get down on his knees in front of everybody and ask for your forgiveness for not doing chores. And his mother's body was not even cold in the grave. So he did that. After that, they magnanimously said, okay, we forgive you, and blah, 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 blah. And they took the nuts from him. Then they summoned me in front of them. And that my aunt, that I had slammed the door in her face, said, yes, this child is a serpent. She's a snake. She's an evil snake. If her mother was a snake, she is 7 times the snake her mother is. And then she started reading my offenses. One of the offenses she read was that I refused to stay in a dark room with my mother's corpse. On a Friday night, this funeral was done in the countryside, and there was no light there, no generators, no light. You had to use candles and lanterns and stuff. Okay. This woman told me to go because my mother's body was lying in state in her bedroom on a Friday night. So she asked me to go and sit down on a chair beside the corpse. I sat down on the chair. This is my mother's older sister. She asked me to sit down on this chair. I sat down on this chair and she proceeded to shut the door and shut me in that dark room with a corpse. No light. So everybody was outside. There was a wake keep going on. She wanted me to sit there on that chair in the darkness with a dead body and shut the door tightly. So as she was leaving and trying to shut the door, I started screaming and yelling. I was screaming, I was yelling, and their oldest brother showed up and he says, what is going on? I said, Auntie told me to sit down here on this chair beside the corpse, and she was shutting me inside the room, the dark room. There was zero light in there. It was pitch dark. She wants me to sit here by myself with the corpse. So he now turned on her and started attacking her. He says, what's wrong with you? You have a daughter of your own. Would you let your own daughter sit beside your own corpse in a dark room? And she said, but that's the tradition. The first daughter, always has to sit beside the mother's body. That's the tradition. And her brother said, in the dark? When our mother died, did you sit beside our mother's corpse in the dark? So on this Sunday, when she set up this humiliation ritual, she started recounting to the women there how I refused to sit beside my mother's corpse in the dark. And how wicked I was and how obstinate I was. And I didn't say anything. And she talked about how rude I was and how this and that and whatnot and the other and and how I slammed the door in her face when she came to my mother's house. I didn't say anything. So she said I had to pay a fine. I had to get this and that and buy this and that. And I had to kneel down and beg them for forgiveness. And they would think about it and decide if they were going to forgive me. I didn't say anything. Remember the story I told you guys on Wednesday, 2 days ago? I said, I learned the secret of breaking the shadow mother egregor. And one way of breaking that egregor is silence, withdrawing your emotion, presenting zero emotion. Zero. Not engaging. Not asking the kind of questions like my friend over here. Was anybody apologizing? Why are you doing this to me? No, you don't engage. So I stood there. So that same auntie that I told you, who is now in her 90s, came up with the plate with the two colonuts, and she says, "Now is not the time for you to be stubborn. Your mother is dead and no one is here to protect you. Take these two colonuts and go and kneel down in front of them and beg for forgiveness. Beg and beg. Make sure you shed tears and show them that you're repentant." And I stood there looking at her. I'm 6 foot tall. And at that age, I was already 6 foot tall. I was very skinny. I was not as plump as you see me now. I was very skinny. So I was taller than everybody. And I was looking at her. And she started shoving the saucer in my mouth. Take it, take it, take it from my hands, take it. So I took the saucer with the two cola nuts from her and I put it down on a table. And she was looking at me. She says, "Aren't you going to take it and go and beg them? Aren't you go and beg them? They're going to deal with you. They will deal with you." Did not say anything. I went into another room and got a broom and a cutlass. So I had a cutlass, a machete in one hand, and a broom in the other hand. Remember, this is a 16-year-old. And I came out into that living room where those women were sitting in counsel. And when they saw me standing there with a broom in one hand and a cutlass in the other hand, everybody fled for their lives. These women ran like roaches exposed to a bright light. They were screaming, they were yelling, they flew down the stairs in front of the house. They were running. This my aunt, because she was a well-placed government official. She had a driver, and she was screaming, "Driver, driver, driver, come and get me out of here! Driver, driver, come and get me out of here! Driver!" The driver was somewhere. And remember, there were people who were watching this. People fled. People fled. Because imagine this child, 6 foot tall child, holding a broom in one hand and a machete in the other hand, and not saying a word. All those women fled there. And we're talking about women who were in their 40s, 50s, 60s at this time. They fled. People, that whole compound, the house, everywhere was cleared in minutes. People were fleeing, screaming and fleeing. And my sibling, who had participated in the humiliation ritual before me, was doubled up in the corner, laughing hysterically like a hyena. He was laughing hysterically like a hyena. He was like, "Okay, y'all thought it was me because I'm the obedient kid. Y'all thought it was me. Y'all thought it was me. I knew this was going to be a drama. I knew that this was going to be spectacular." He was beside himself. He was on the floor. He was doubled up. He was screaming with laughter. Everybody fled. We were the only two left in the house. And I went outside with a machete in one hand and I started sweeping. That was the last of that foolishness. That my aunt ran to their eldest brother and said, Tochi woke up this morning and chose violence. We were minding our own business and she started chasing us around with a cutlass, with a machete. We were sitting and chatting amongst ourselves, and she came out of nowhere and started chasing us with a machete. Her older brother said, I don't think so. What did you do to her? I don't think so. She's not insane. And she says, well, I'm leaving. He says, bye. That was it. And boys and girls, that is an example of a humility. If anybody had attempted to touch me at that moment, they would have tasted the sweetness of that machete. I swear to God. They would have tasted the sweetness of that machete. Because I was at a point where I was like, I will go down fighting and I will not go down alone. But you see me participating in this foolishness, I will not. That's right. I had had enough. 16, going on 17. I recognized that my ability to do that was because of what had happened to me when I was 14 with my mother. But remember, it was because of a decision I had made. I will no longer flinch. I will no longer avoid the conflict. I will fight you. I will go down this rabbit hole no matter how deep this rabbit hole is. Now, did that gain me a reputation with family members? Yes, it did. But if that reputation was what was going to get people to leave me alone, then so be it. But many of us are like, no, if I just participate, they will love me. They will draw me closer to them. They will treat me well. I want to ask you this question and answer me honestly. Do you think my aunt and her cronies would have treated me like a daughter if I had agreed to go down on my knees and grovel in front of them and ask them for forgiveness for what she did to me? Thank you, Jax the Bantu. Thank you, Ro. Do you think that if I had agreed, went down on my knees, groveled in front of them, told them I was sorry for not letting her lock me up in a dark room with a corpse, that she would be happy with me, help me, love me, treat me like her own child, do you think that that was what was going to happen? Humiliation rituals never end up well for the targets of that ritual. You need to understand there's nothing you will do to make these women love you if they don't love you. I repeat, even if you stripped yourself naked, groveled, begged, they will still not love you. They'll be like, aha, let's do some more. And oftentimes, the way to escape the shadow mother egregor is by showing your fangs and your claws. And that is why when I read this book called Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes, it's an old book. That book is over 20 years now. If you can get the book, I'm sure you can get it. I was so happy when she made a Kindle version of that book. If you can get that book, I think the book is about 500 or 600 pages long. If you can get that book, it took me about 3 months to finish that book. I'm a fast reader, but it took me about 3 months to finish that book because I cried. I cried because there were so many things I recognized in that book that I had gone through that there were no words for it. No one had ever described it. No one had ever told me about these things. No one had ever warned me. But instinctively, I knew that my freedom from this egregor and other egregors was for me to bare my claws and bare my fangs and not care how I was described. The book is called Women Who Run with the Wolves. Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. Once you type in Women Who Run with the Wolves, you'll find it. It's the cover of the book is black. It looks like a heavy Bible. And Dr. Clarissa, she's a storyteller and a psychotherapist. And as you read that book, you will recognize yourself. She doesn't use the term egregor, if I remember correctly, but she pretty much describes the myths and the legends that identify the activities of this egregor. Women Who Run with the Wolves. I read it years and years later. And this was a book I wish I had read when I was a teenager, because if I had read it when I was a teenager, I would have done a lot more than what I did. But when I was a teenager, she hadn't written that book. Humiliation rituals depend on spectacle. Are the people who stay silent while witnessing the abuse also guilty? Yeah, they're part of the ritual. They're the ones I said are the witnesses, because a humiliation ritual requires witnesses. Witnesses are those who are watching, and they may be passively participating or actively participating. The humiliation ritual requires witnesses. Okay. The humiliation ritual requires spectacle. It has to be dramatic. That's how you identify it. There's a lot of drama around it. People invited. Lots of things said. And none of them in your favor. Okay. The mother or the grandmother who leads these, or the auntie or the sister who leads this humiliation ritual, becomes a ritual specialist. And she functions as both priest and the sacrificer. She is the priest or priestess of this ritual. And sometimes when these kinds of things are going on, the women who are doing this know exactly what they're doing. And sometimes they will start invoking the egregor that they're working with while they're performing these rituals. And you see them say, "Oh, I'm calling upon Jesus." You're calling the Jesus egregor. Or I'm calling upon this deity or the other deity. I'm calling upon the spirit. I'm calling upon ancestors and stuff. They're not calling the real deal. They're calling the egregor to be present and to come and feed on the energy that is about to be released during this humiliation ritual. Okay. In current days, other humiliation rituals include social media shaming, forcing people to make apology videos that get posted in public, being attacked in WhatsApp groups. There might be a family WhatsApp group, and everybody in that WhatsApp group starts attacking you. And people who have no business telling you anything will start telling you things in that WhatsApp group. That's a humiliation ritual. Humiliation rituals happen in churches where people are forced to confess. It happens in mosques, it happens in different religious organizations. It even happens in the so called traditional religions and traditional spiritual paths, where someone is forced to kneel down and confess and beg for this and that. All of them are humiliation rituals at different kinds of altars. And the person who is the victim, the person who is the target, is in their mind, they're saying, okay, if I do this, everybody will be happy with me. If I do this, they will accept me as one of their own. If I do this, they will love me. If I do this, they will include me. And you'll find out that after you participate, your situation will become worse than it was before you started. Okay. What questions do you have about today's class? M, was that helpful to you? Is today's class helpful to you? I'm kind of hiding here behind the comment section. Don't participate. She asked a question: how do we redeem ourselves from the humiliation? Don't participate. If the person is trying to make a spectacle of you, walk away. Don't react. Don't give them a satisfaction of reacting. Don't cry. They want you to cry because the egregor feeds off of your anger and tears and emotion and worry and anxiety and fear. It feeds off of that. But if you don't react, If you don't participate, the egregor is starved and everything crumbles. Don't participate. If, say, for instance, you're in an office environment or business environment and the supervisor is berating you and in front of everybody and whatnot, don't react. Don't defend yourself. Don't explain yourself. Don't say anything. Just stand and stare. And what you're going to see is once they're not getting that reaction they need out of you, then they start getting aggravated. Then they are forced to feed that egregor with their own energy instead of yours. And that's when they'll say, don't you have anything to say? Are you receiving what I'm saying? And you can say, I'm listening. Well, what do you have to say? I don't have anything to say. Aren't you going to defend yourself? No. Do you have an explanation? No. Okay, we're going to punish you this way. We're going to do this and write you up. That's fine. That makes you scary. But if you're there going, I didn't do this. I'm going to call my lawyer. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. That's what they want. So these rituals will happen no matter what. There's no way to stop them permanently. Do you have a way of stopping the world from revolving permanently? There are always humiliation rituals everywhere. And if you were listening to the story I just told, that was the last time my aunt and her cohorts tried me. That was the last time they tried me. And I think a year or so after that, there was a day I went and visited her and her husband in her house. I slept over the next morning. They were having breakfast. I showed up there. She was like, oh my God, you came to my house. Sit down and eat with us. I sat down and I ate with them. And after that, I said, okay, I'm on my way. She didn't mess with me. Even though I was 30 years her junior, I became her equal. You're welcome, Ro. And that's why I told the story about that my in-law on Wednesday. It was like it told me everything he needed to tell me and this and that, and I heard about you and blah, 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 blah. After that offered me money and I said, I'm not interested in your money. I'm not interested in anything you have to offer. And that stopped that right there. And he became my biggest advocate. Don't participate. Don't be concerned about who's doing what and don't participate, period. If you do, and you will hear things like, just like that, my aunt who was shoving the plate in my face and say, you better take this and stop being obstinate. She's like, if you don't do this, they will deal with you. No, I didn't do it and nobody was able to deal with me. That is the languaging they will use. If you don't participate in this, then this dire thing, here are the dire consequences you will suffer. And you discover that if you don't participate, there are no dire consequences. Nothing will happen. The success of the humiliation ritual depends upon your participation. I repeat, the success of the humiliation ritual depends upon your participation. The success of the humiliation ritual depends upon your participation. If you say, I'm not participating, it's game over. Learn how to walk away. Learn how to set boundaries. Learn how to say no. And a lot of that foolishness will end. No. Well, if you don't come here in front of everybody and make this huge apology, no. If you don't do this, I'm going to cut off your inheritance. I'm going to cut you out of my will. Fine. Call their bluff. That's fine. Do it. Call their bluff. Do it. Do it now. I had an uncle. I was involved in a fight. And many, many years ago, overseas. And we ended up at the police station. And I called my uncle, one of my uncles, to tell him that, hey, see what happened to me. And he showed up there and excoriated me in front of everybody. Told me what an embarrassment I was and what a disgrace I was and what blah, 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 blah. Listened to the other side, didn't even ask me what happened. And I was not the person at fault. I was not the person at fault. But he listened to the other side because they were males. So I told him, okay, you can leave now. And he kept on screaming and yelling and carrying on. I turned my back on him. I said, you can go now. And he said, I am so embarrassed. You are a disgrace. And I said to him, I'm embarrassed that you are my uncle. And I'm ashamed that I called you to tell you that I'm here. And he was shocked. And his wife was like, wait a minute. Just apologize to him to make him feel good. I said, I can never do it. I can never do it. And she was like, well, we'll leave you at the station. And I say, oh, there are other people at the station here. Are they dead? Are they dead? I'll be here. If you don't help me, somebody else will. And somebody else did. But let me tell you what happened. So I didn't talk to him again. A couple of years later, he got very sick. And he started, either him or his wife, started writing me through WhatsApp, giving me health updates and letting me know, okay, they're praying and this and that, and letting me know about the health situation. And I'm reading through all of this, and I wrote a one-liner. Why do I need to know this? And they took me off their list. If you did not come to my aid in my time of trouble, why should I come to your aid in your time of trouble? But many of us will be like, oh, let me show him I'm the bigger person. And after you're done showing this person that you're the bigger person, that you will help, you will do this, despite the way they treated you, do you think it will change their attitude towards you? No. If you do not understand anything else from tonight's class, understand this. Because many of us make this mistake. Oh, yeah, I will show the person I'm a bigger person. Even though they weren't kind to me, I'm going to show them that I'm kind. They will use you. You will be used. You will not be loved. You will not be respected. You will be used. Because you're thinking, if I show them I'm the bigger person, then, then they will not love you. They will use you, because they will say, this person is a fool. Stop trying to be the bigger person. Because a person who doesn't love you will not recognize that you're being the bigger person. The person who doesn't love you, doesn't care for you, doesn't care about you, will use you at their convenience. And even after helping them, they will still put you through more and more humiliation rituals. They will make a spectacle out of you. They will put you in your place. They will humiliate you. There is nothing you can do to make this person love you. I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm repeating myself for the folks in the back. Oh no, Jesus said, love your neighbor. Forgive them 70 times 7, or seven something, 7 whatnot. How did Jesus end up? He ended up crucified for all the good he did. Brus J got nailed. So, so don't be sitting there and quoting Jesus. Brus J was doing good, raised the dead, healed the lame and the blind, feeding hungry folks. How did he end up? When they were like stapling him to that, stapling him to the wood, how come not one person out of all those thousands he fed came out? How come they didn't have street protests? He fed 3,000 over there, fed 5,000 over there. None of the people he healed of blindness came and spoke on his behalf. Not one. Not one person he healed came and spoke on his behalf. Lazarus, that he rose from the dead, never came and spoke on his behalf. Gain sense. Please gain sense. I'm not here to debate whether the Bible story is true or not. Let's just assume that, everything written in that New Testament is true. No, there is no, the only person who even made an attempt to help him was Peter. But outside of Peter, nobody. The ones he raised from the dead, the ones he cured of leprosy, the ones he made whole, even the ones he cast out their demons, the crazy folks that he made sane, not one person came to his aid. There were no street protests, no demonstrations, nothing. And he was put through a humiliation ritual. Because what you see described in the New Testament is a humiliation ritual. Stripped naked, whipped, thrashed, forced to carry his own cross, public spectacle, people laughing and jeering, him getting stapled to the wood, they putting their King of the Jews. That was a public humiliation ritual. So, what makes you think that if that guy did all those good things he did and no one came to his rescue, that your case is going to be different? What makes you think that yours is going to be different? How many people have you healed of blindness? How many thousands of people have you fed? And you're sitting there saying, "Oh yeah, no, 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 no. I want to show them I'm the bigger person." Bros J showed folks that he was the greatest person. How did he end up? And he told his folks, "I'll be coming back." Do you think he's gonna come back? He ain't coming back. The first time around didn't end so well. He ain't coming back. If I were in his shoes, I would not come back either. What am I coming for? Might show up and then some might show up and try to go to the mall, and some crazy person will try to come there and pew pew you. What are you coming for? He ain't coming. Okay, love three says with a kiss of death. Thank you. Upon all the good that man did, and he was teaching knowledge and teaching all kinds of things, he did not end up well. He did not end up well. All right, folks. So, no more questions. If there are no more questions, I will leave you and go and start counting um, my gold. I had such a hard time getting that movie, The Crucifixion, out of my head as a child. Yeah. Once you understand it for what it is fiction, you'll be all right. It's an allegory, it's a story. I watched it and I remember going to watch it with a whole bunch of African women and they were weeping and I was laughing. Because I was like, y'all believe this? This is Mel Gibson. There's a whole bunch of white men flinging some red fluid all over the place, and they probably having burgers after each set. Y'all getting emotional about these things. They were weeping. Oh my God, my Lord! Look at how they whipped my Lord. I say that I didn't whip no Lord. The guy's an actor. You were traumatized. Girl, child, please. I wasn't even traumatized. I was like, that was great acting, special effects. Because I've learned how to pull back from all those things. So, matter of fact, I get a kick more out of horror movies, like the horror movie, than that. Okay, because what makes a movie sell is how dramatic it is. So the more dramatic it is, the more the likelihood it's going to sell. It's all about the marketing. It's all about the packaging. It's all about the marketing. It's all about the packaging. You understand? So once you know that, and once you, let's just say my word view is such that, okay, you were made to watch the movie a couple of times a week. Child, please, I would have been snoring. I would have been snoring. Thank you for the heart puffs and music on stage and all these gifts. Thank you, Love 3. All right, so it looks like no more questions. For those of you who are going to watch the replay on YouTube, this is a long class. It's a little over 2 hours. Look at all the things you're sending me, GGs and cocktails and all that. I know nothing about these things. So I know nothing about these things. She'd be sending me a whole bunch of stuff on TikTok. I'm looking at it like I don't even know what these things are. And I don't even know what the fate of TikTok is. Didn't they say September 15th it would go away? And then now they're talking about something to do with TikTok. Man, I'm just so over it. Anybody who wants to do what they want to do, they should do what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? One way or the other, we're going to get our message out. One way or the other, we will get our message out. That's the way I see it. So whether TikTok is here or Facebook or whatever it is here, one way or the other, the message will get out. Okay. Gain sense. Okay. And all you're getting, get money. Because when you have money, when you're wealthy, you can isolate yourself from a whole bunch of bullshit. Okay. You don't see the royal family. You don't see the royal families, the wealthy royal families around the world being involved in 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 being subjected to egregores. Those kind of egregores. The egregores, they work with egregores to their own advantage. They're not under the power of egregores. They're not under the power of egregores. They know how egregores work and they use egregores to their own advantage. And that's what we need to do. We need to be able to recognize, okay, these egregores exist and how do I use them to my own advantage? And if you're a sophisticated occultist or metaphysician, even an egregore like the Shadow Mother egregore or the Jesus egregore, you can turn it around and use it against the person who's trying to use it against you. So if somebody's trying to feed you to these egregores, you can turn around and feed that person to that egregore. Can egregores penetrate dream state? Yes, they do. Watch my class on the nun who created egregores. Yes, they can. Many of them, when they're created, live in different dimensions, and you can access them consciously on other dimensions. It's just that most people come into contact with egregores unconsciously. But yeah, egregores penetrate the dream state very well, very easily, because they're energy. And egregores can influence people, they can possess people, they can use people, they can manifest, depending on the kind of egregore, they can manifest and look real, like real human beings. Egregores have on and off switches, but the person who knows their on and off switches are the groups that created them. Know how to switch them on and switch them off. But eventually, if an egregore is starved of attention and energy, it will just disappear and die. If it's no longer fed, it will, over a period of time, just fade away. So our job is to make sure that we're not feeding those egregores. Okay. All right. Looks like there are no questions. Thank you very much for coming to class. I still will have a class on Sunday, our regular touching base class. Remember, members, there will be a member presentation, wealth creation, tomorrow at 10 a.m. CST. It's free for all members. So I will, I've already posted the Google Meet link on Patreon. As soon as I end this class now, I will post the Google Meet link on the community page on YouTube. I'll post the link for members on the community page on YouTube. So just go to my community page and I will post it there. You're quite welcome. Merci bien. Cassius Cuore. All right. We're thankful to our Creator, our guardian spirits, our ancestors, and our spirit guides for today's forbidden fruit. May it not be wasted in our lives and in our consciousness. Ashe, Ise, Kamago, Lusedi, Mukwande, Ayabobo. Inyanho, it is done, it is finished, it's complete. Amen. Ma'at. Thank you all for coming to class. Love you all. Thank you to my YouTube, my TikTok folks. See y'all later.